Well, we will begin the class remembering that have seen last class. First thing, we have learned what is a financial market. We have seen that it's a place in which we will trade financial instruments, financial assets, or valued documents. And in this market, you will find many institutions that operate there, and you will see that the flow of capital across all the economy from one agent to another. The financial market occupies no physical space. In some cases, it could occupy one, like, for example, the stock market or the buildings of financial institutions or insurance companies and so on. But in many cases, you will see that these operations occur everywhere by internet, for example. Then we are speaking about a virtual market, a virtual space. And we have divided this market in primary and secondary market. And I have added some slides that you will check in a few minutes. We will see that in the financial markets we have some kind of functions. These are traditional functions. In every book that you will read, you will see this kind of functions. That you will see that in modern theory about financial institutions, financial markets, is something that has changed. And the most important change is related with risk. Risk is present in every one of these operations, and you will see that this operation, transfer risk, is present in every other of these functions. When you transfer funds from surplus to deficit, your risk is that you wouldn't recover your amount. If you interact between buyers and sellers, the risk is that perhaps one of them wouldn't accomplish with his part. For example, they don't pay or they don't deliver the financial document that they have sold to the other. Provide liquidity, the risk is that you wouldn't find liquidity. It provides liquidity, but you can assure that every time you will find liquidity. And in some cases, you will find that the financial market will facilitate the sale, but in some cases, the financial market facilitated, but it's not easy to sell something. And maturity intermediation. In the case of maturity intermediation, I have had this slide. I have drawn it at the table last class. Then you can find it here right now. We have found that I can obtain, for example, 10 millions, and these 10 millions are a deposit. But this is the amount that I have obtained from the market. And when I have obtained this from the market, the problem is my demand, those who are asking for a loan, don't have the same maturity. This one wants to borrow 2 million, that's 10, the amount is different, for only 30 days. This other one for 180 days and only 5 million. And this other one for 1 year, 360 days, but only 3 million. If you want 2 plus 5 plus 3 is 10 million, this amount. But different terms. As they are different terms, I have a problem. I am a bank. How can I lend this money in other terms? If I do so, the problem is, for example, I lend this money to him, 5 million, and he won't pay me until the day 180. But I must return this deposit to this depositor in 90 days. How can I do this? I don't have funds to pay him because I won't recover this loan. I will recover it in day 180, and I must pay to him the day 90. This is the first problem. The same in the case of 1 year. On the other hand, I can lend 2 million for 30 days. But in the day 31, I won't have to whom lend this money. And I am paying an interest for the total term, and I only can lend it for 30 days. And the question is how financial institutions can solve this problem. For us, it's very difficult because we don't have a portfolio of clients, but they have one, and it's very, very big. A bank like Banco de Crédito, like Banco Continental, the two biggest banks in our country, could have maybe a portfolio from 800,000 people, or a small bank, or perhaps my entity. We are a very, very small company. We have 2,000, but we know who are them. We know where can we find them. It's that we can solve this problem. But if we have more clients, it's more easy to solve this problem, because right now, at time zero, this is a problem. At time zero. But what is my activity? What is my goal? What must I do? I must solve the problem looking for new clients. New clients that will help me to solve this problem. How can I do this? First thing, after I end this loan, I will look for other clients who will take another loan, for example, for 30 more days. And then for 30 more days, another client. Then I will fill all the term. I will fill all the term. And I will receive charge 2%, 2%, 2%. I will pay 5, I am gaining 1. This is the first solution. Then we must look for the other terms. In the other terms, what is the problem? I received today 10 million. I only will lend for 30 days 2 million. Then I will lend for 185, and for 360 days 3 million. I know right now, time zero, that I don't have sources to finance all this term today, right now. But perhaps today I can solve the problem, or tomorrow, or day after tomorrow, I must look for a client who will take this position in the day 90. And so when I am working for find a client who can solve this problem, then I find them, and in the day 90, I must pay. This red line shows us that I must pay to this depositor. Then I will find another client who will finance the remaining of this term. Then I will have another client who will finance by 5% to finance this term for until day 180. One depositor, second depositor, two depositors will finance only one operation. This is the question. This is the alternative that financial institutions find to solve this problem. On the other hand, I need a client who will finance all this term from day 90 to day 360. So I will find here another client, for example, at 7%, at the cost of 7%, who will finance the total term. Then to finance from day zero to day 180, I have again two depositors. The first one who will finance the first term from 0 to 90 days, and the second who will finance from day 90 to day 360. This is the work, this is the specialization of these financial institutions. And by this, we have increased the economy activity in the world. By this, we have big markets. I will hang these new slides in the web page in order that you could check it if you want. You can see that there is a text in all these slides. You will find a text with the explanation of all what I have told you. And we have ended last class with this picture. We have seen that we have three variables: opportunity, capacity, and will. Will, desire, plan, decision. Okay? If I am the rival from a competitor, if I am the government, if I am an entity who has produced new technology, and it could be that as I am a competitor, I can attack my rival, my competitor, and gain a share of the market. Or I can be the government and I want to rise taxes. Or I could be a company who has developed a new technology that could change all the environment, and the competition will change, and it could affect negatively your operations. In all these three cases, if the government, the enterprise who has invented this technology, or your competitor, all these three have the opportunity. So they have seen that it's a good opportunity, they have good probabilities to have a successful result. They have the capacity. They have the resources, the fund resources, material resources, human resources to do so. They have the law with them. So they have the capacity. They can do what they want. And they have the will. They want to do so. Then you are facing a three. Amenaza. Okay? Because if everyone who wants to do something and has the opportunity, the capacity, and the will to do so, it's clear that it will happen. They will do so. You will receive the tag. So, in this case, you must consider you are facing a three. If you find that they don't have all these three variables, they have only two, they have only one, who's under risk. Why under risk? Suppose this case, they have the opportunity. For example, your competitor has the opportunity. You have a bad relation with your client. Your financial situation is weak. Your product quality has reduced. So they have the opportunity. They have the capacity. They can produce more products. Their products are from higher quality. They have enough financial sources to finance all this increase in their production. So they have the capacity. But they don't have the will. They don't want to take this client. They don't want to attack you. If they don't want to attack you, it's only risk because they will take advantage over this opportunity and capacity. They don't want to. In this other case, they have the capacity. Perhaps the government has the capacity to issue a law that will affect you. They have the will. They want to increase the taxes because they need more income. But they don't have the opportunity. We are in recession. As we are in recession, they can increase taxes or recession will be harder. Then they don't have the opportunity. Or in the case of the technology company, they have the opportunity. They have found that the new development is better than the current technology that all people are using. It's more efficient, it's cheaper, it's more friendly. Then they have the opportunity. They have the will. They want to take the market. They want to disrupt in the market and to take this market, to gain all the competitors. But they don't have the capacity. Their plant is not efficient. They don't have enough money to invest and to produce a lot of these products. Then they will appear in the market with only a short or small participation, with a small share. Then it's only risk. If they have the capacity in the future, if they have the opportunity, if they have the will, then you will have a risk. And it's clear that in this case and this other one, if they only have one of these variables with them, and they don't have the other two, then it's a risk of lower probability of happening. Okay? And uncertainty is something that we don't know what is and what could be, when could be. It's only uncertainty. It's different than risk. In the case of risk, we know what could happen. We know what can they do. In uncertainty, we doesn't know, or we don't know who, when, what. We don't know anything. So we have checked the first class, and now we will continue. Primary and secondary market. As markets, they will join surplus and deficit units. It's the task of every market. Okay? And in this operation, they will finance productive activities. You will find that there are, how can we say, financial investors, those who have money to invest, but they don't invest in production, they invest in papers like bonds, debts, or stocks, and someone else will have productive activities. Then someone will finance productive activities. And we will find that exist primary markets and secondary markets. What is a primary market? A market in which you will find values are issued and negotiated first time, only for first time. Suppose I issue a document, a bond. I need that. I issue a bond, and I offer it to you. Never before now, never have you seen this document. Never, nobody has buy it before now. And I issue it and I sell to the market. First time, primary market. Second time, you are the owner of this debt, of this bond, and you sell it to someone else. It's the second time, secondary market. If you are in the third time, the fourth, in the fifth, in the 10th, in the 100th and more, in all these cases is secondary market. Okay? Yes, primary market and secondary market. And now we have here capital market and money market. These are two kinds of markets, different than the first ones. Capital markets, long-term operations. You will buy instruments, financial instruments, that will have their maturity in 1 year or more. If the instrument has a maturity from 1 year to more, then you are in a capital market operation. The instrument will dictate if you are in capital market or in money market. If the instrument will reach its maturity in less than 1 year, then we are in a money market. Money market, short-term operations. Capital market, long-term. If you buy a bond, and the bond will have its maturity in 5 years, and you buy it right now, but you want to sell it in 3 months, is a money market or a capital market operation. Your intention is to buy it and sell it in 3 months, short term. But the bond will reach its maturity in 5 years, long term. So it's capital market or money market? Capital market, because the instrument will dictate if you are in one or the other. The instrument, not your intention. Okay? And here we have a matrix. Here money and capital market, and here primary and secondary market. What will you find? You are in a money market, primary market if you are trading a short-term financial assets and negotiating for first time. only if you have these two conditions, short term and first time, you are in primary market and money market. On the other hand, if you have negotiated this document or someone else has negotiated before you, then you are not in a primary market, you are in a secondary market. The instrument could be short term again, but the negotiation is not the first time. It's the second, the third, the 10th, the 20th, and so on. In the case of capital market, long-term financial assets, okay, long-term. Primary market, if you negotiate it for first time. Secondary market, if it is the second or later negotiation. Okay, remember this. It's important to take it this into account. And right now, we can see here in this picture, here in this sector, under this framework, black framework, we are in the primary market. What will you find in a primary market? An issuer who needs financial resources. Someone who will issue a financial instrument, for example, a bond. And someone, an investor, with surplus financial resources. Deficit, surplus. As he issues this document, then he will offer it in the financial market. What is a financial market? A place or virtual or physical in which you will find financial institutions, capital or money markets, stock markets, and so on. Then they will offer this document there. And after they have offered it, they will find someone who wants to buy it. And this will invest and let funds. And when they invest and let funds in this financial market, these funds will be channelized to this deficit. This is the first operation. Issuer and someone is buying. And this who has bought, then he must pay interest every period, every 3 months, every 6 months. He will pay a financial cost. And this financial cost will be channelized through the financial markets, and this investor will receive the principal and the profit could be in interest. And at the maturity, when you end this operation, then this issuer will channelize principal and financial cost, and they will receive principal and financial income for him. This is the operation. If he has buy it now, and they will hold these financial instruments until the end, until the maturity. This is the primary market. And now, it could change. Something can change. How? This issuer could have more resources in the future. So now it's a deficit unit, in the future could be a surplus unit. Or this surplus agent could be a deficit unit in the future. We will see this first case now. This investor in 6 months, 1 year in the future. This investor needs money and they have bought this bond. They want to sell it because they need cash. Then they pass from this position to this other one as deficit unit. And they offer this bond to the market in order to receive funds. So they offer it and they will receive this amount. In the financial market, they will receive this amount. And another investor will buy it. But in this case, this document is traded in a second time. So we are in a secondary market. We are speaking right now about a secondary market. And they will sell it and receive funds. Or this investor could be like a new issuer. Then he could pass to this position. And they can issue sell this financial instruments, and some other investor will buy it. Okay? And now we have to speak about the financial investor. We have to speak about productive investors. These financial investors could be enterprises, natural persons, and so on. And what are the criteria that they will use in order to decide if they will invest or not? They will check and compare risk against yield. They want to obtain a yield, rendimiento. This yield will compensate the risk that I am running. And at the same time, they will consider money over time's value. They know that $100 today has more value than $100 in the future. Then these are the criteria that they are using. The value of the money over time and risk. In this other case, productive investors are those who invest in productive activities. They only invest in financial instruments. They don't operate in productive activities. And these investors will invest like this other one, but they will invest in function of cost and benefit. If the benefit is enough, is interesting to cover, to repay this cost, they will invest. It's another criteria, cost against benefit. And here, risk against yield. But both are working with money over value. Okay, over time value. This is another characteristic. We have two kinds of investors. Yes? What?
What was the meaning of yield?
Yield, rendimiento. Rendimiento sobre fondos. Okay? If you want to ask questions, you can do it. If you don't speak well English, you can ask your questions in Spanish. I will answer in English, if I can. But I prefer that you ask in English. But if you don't know how to ask in Spanish. It's not a problem. It's better to ask than to be quiet. Okay? Now, how will these investors interact between each other? These financial investors, as it is a supermarket agent, will invest. And this other one, as a deficit unit, will ask for funds and will expose its financial needs to a financial market or to a financial institution. And I will divide here commercial banks and stock market agents. Because in Peru, commercial banks, or in our case, the most part of our banks operate like commercial banks. Perhaps in the future it will be different. But right now, the most part of our banks operate as commercial banks. What is a commercial bank? It's a bank that operates in short term, lends and obtains funds for short term, or the most part of these sources are for short term. Okay? We have investment banks. That investment banks are banks that operate long term. In our law, we can have commercial banks, short term banks. Investment banks, they are long term banks. And we have multiple banks. Multiple banks are at the same time commercial banks and investment banks. All our banks in Peru, all our banks are multiple banks. No one of our banks are commercial banks, but all our banks are operating like commercial banks. The most part of their operations are short-term operations. And they don't do many other operations that are related with investment banks. The difference about commercial and investment banks will be seen in more deep in chapter 3. Then by this, as we are in Peru, I have to write here commercial banks to sign that we are operating more with commercial banks in Peru with banks that are operating like commercial banks. But if you go to the United States, to Great Britain, India, South Africa, so these Anglo-Saxon countries, you will find that they have commercial banks. And the law in those countries established that you must have or commercial bank or investment banks, but not both activities in one institution, because they consider that they exist a conflict of interest. But in Latin countries, in Central and Continental Europe and many other countries, we don't consider that exists a conflict of interest. We will see this in more detail after. And we have stock market agents in order to reflect that they are operators that are financing operations via this intermediation. A bank, a financial institution is an intermediator because they are in the middle between deficit and surplus units, and they will connect operations between them. They don't know them, each other, but the financial institutions know them, and they operate in the middle. In this intermediation operations, you don't have banks. Deficit and surplus units operate with each other, they have contact within them. Okay? But in this case, we are supposing that we are in an intermediator, in an intermediator market. And we will find financial institutions and markets, commercial banks and stock market agents. There are other intermediators, but we will speak only for this. So this financial investor has funds and they will invest it and they have needs. They will recur to one of these alternatives and they will channelize funds from here to here. This operation could be in a primary market and they will offer these funds in a primary market and they will ask for funds in a primary market too. On the other side, they are surplus agents and they will invest their funds by public issues. And they will ask for funds in public issues. Public issue. You will find that in our markets we have public issues and private issues. What is the difference between both? A private issue, for example, is an issue. I will issue stocks or I will issue bonds or some other financial instrument, and I decide how to do so. I don't respect the law. It's not prohibited that I could issue bonds or issue some other financial instruments following the law, but if I don't follow the rules, then it's a private issue. Okay? And private issues pay taxes. If you gain interest, you must pay taxes for this interest. And they pay the IGB for interest. So you are affected by rent taxes and you are affected by the sale taxes. Okay? Two taxes. On the other hand, you have another variation about the private issues. You can follow all the rules. You can communicate your intention to issue it to the Superintendencia de Mercado de Valores. And then you have accomplished with all these rules. If you accomplish with all these rules, people, investors, financial investors, are more confident about your issue because you have accomplished with all the rules. Then it means that you are serious, that you can disappear at the next moment. It means that you will pay your interest and so on. It means that it's a serious operation, a very serious operation. That your potential buyers are no more than 30. If your potential buyers are not more than 30, then the operation will be considered as a private issue. And they will pay interest over their interest, rent taxes, and sale taxes. Okay? So you have two kinds of private issues. One that follow rules, another that don't. And if they follow rules and they don't have more than 30 potential investors or buyers, then we are speaking about a private issue. For example, if you issue a bond, you are a company, a big company, and you issue bonds, and you say in your prospectus, a prospectus is a document in which you define all the characteristics of your operation and all the characteristics of your interest, of your market. And in this case, you define for your market, I will sell this bond only to AFP. How much AFP have we in Peru? 4. Then less than 30. Then we are speaking about a private issue. And what is a public issue? A public issue is an issue that follows all the rules that the Superintendencia de Mercado de Valores has established, and that the potential buyers of this bond or stock or whatever it is are more than 30. In this case, if you have accomplished two conditions, the rules, and a big potential market, more than 30 buyers, then we're speaking about a public issue. In the case of stocks in Peru, the most part of the companies issue stocks by private ways. They don't go to CONACEF. Only about 250, perhaps no more than 30 entities are operating in our stock market. And in our stock market, these stocks are public issues. But only 300. How many companies have we here in our country? 300 is nothing in our country. In the United States, in Japan, in Europe, the entities that are operating in the stock markets are many, many more. But as in our countries, as in Latin American countries, the private issues are more too. But the most important companies are in the stock. Here, no. Because they don't feel that they have any advantage to operate in the Lima stock market. Then we can define or redefine or recheck what we have seen before now. What is financial intermediation? We have seen that in our financial markets we have intermediation. That a financial intermediation is one in which you will channelize funds between surplus and deficit agents. A financial market function is the same. And financial intermediation is the act. In one case is the function, and in this case is the act, the activity. Okay? Channeling funds between surplus and deficit units. As such, financial intermediaries channel funds from people who have extra money. Those who have extra money are savers. To those who do not have enough money to carry out a desired activity, they are borrowers. Now, we will have something that is not so complicated, but you must take this in account at every time. First one, if you are a surplus unit, you are an investor, or you are a saver. An investor, if you invest this funds in risky operations, and a saver if you invest this funds in a bank. But under financial logic, both operations are financial operations, or investment operations, or lending operations, because you have lent money to someone, you have invested money to someone. So, saver, investor, surplus agent are the same in a financial point of view, but legally they are different. They are different risks. We will see this in a few minutes. But you must remember this because you must consider these terms as synonymous. And we have here borrowers. And what is a borrower? A borrower is an entity or a person who is a deficit agent. Or it could be someone who wants to invest in a productive activity, and they don't have enough money to invest in it. So they need to ask for money to someone. This is the case of the borrower. You must consider a synonymous deficit agent, borrower, or productive investor. In some cases, we could detail exceptions in which you will find productive investors that have enough money to invest in their own activities and they don't need to ask for money from anyone. In this case, this productive investor is not a deficit unit, it's only a surplus unit. And here you can see a scheme that shows you all what we have seen until now. It shows us the resources flow in a financial market. And in this case, as we have a financial intermediator, then we are speaking about indirect finance, or we are speaking about intermediation. What is it? We have here a surplus agent who lends funds or deposits funds. Lends funds, lender. Deposit funds, saver. Or financial investors, could I add here. So this is a surplus agent. And this surplus agent will channelize its funds to a financial intermediary. But there are two alternatives. If they deposit funds, they are savers. They open a deposit. Or if they lend money to this financial intermediator, it's because they invest in stocks of this financial intermediator, or they buy a bond. And this financial intermediator, with all the funds that obtained from stockholders, depositors, and lenders, with all this money, he will receive the deposits or loans, and they will lend or invest these funds to someone, to this deficit agent. So they will funds flow to deficit agents, who will receive loans or will receive investment. And we have here maximum. This maxima is important, and it's very, very logical. What said to us this maxima? It said a financial system is efficient when deficit units receive resources from surplus units, from here to here, with someone in the middle, at the lowest possible cost. It means that this intermediary will reduce all the costs that I could have if I didn't lie this amount to the deficit unit. So at the lowest possible cost and with lowest inconvenience at the same time. All the papers, all the prerequisites that they will ask me to lend this money to me, I am the deficit agent, and they will ask for me for many requisites. I could accomplish with them, but they are not so complicated. Perhaps it's more complicated if I negotiate even like here. Perhaps we must discuss a lot, we must check a lot of conditions, we can't agree. We could be two persons with similar power, and we want to oblige to the other to accept our conditions. And in this case, it's complicated. This surplus agent maybe can't evaluate this operation. They are not experts in this. They don't know how to do so. Then we could have convenience. They increase costs. By this, financial intermediaries are necessary in our market. Then, if the existence of financial intermediaries will reduce costs and will reduce inconvenience, and the operations will be at lowest possible cost and lowest possible inconvenience, compared against this intermediation operation, this intermediation operation don't exist a financial intermediary, then we will have in this market financial. We will have in this market this intermediation. We will have intermediators. You will see that in our country, in Latin America, and African and many African and Asian countries, you will find that we have more financial more financial intermediators operations in amount and in number of operations. Okay? This is the condition, or this is not the condition, the situation. And next, what is a financial intermediary? An entity. And this entity will connect surplus and deficit agents. It's a consequence of all what we have said until now. And which is a classical example about this? A bank. Who will transform bank deposits into bank loans? And what is an activity of these financial institutions, of these banks? They will intermediate and they will transform assets and liabilities from some characteristics to some other assets or liabilities with different characteristics. For example, what could be these other characteristics? First one, we have seen term. I receive a deposit for 90 days and I lend it for 1 year, for 180 days, for 30 days. So I have changed, I have transformed the term. This is the first transformation that I have to do as a financial institution. But at the same time, we could find that this is not the only thing. Do you suppose that you will receive a deposit from your client? The deposit belongs to me as a financial institution or belongs to you as depositors? To whom? Yes, a deposit. You deposit your funds in my bank. I am the banker. And it's your funds. So I receive your funds and I will lend it. These funds that I have received, to whom belong they? To you or to me? No. Yes, it's yours. If you have a balance sheet, it's in your assets. If you will write deposit, bank deposit. So it's an asset for you. For me, it's a liability or passive because it's not mine, it's yours. Okay, I must pay it to you at the end of the term, at the maturity. So for me, it's a passive. But in the meantime, between now and the maturity, I can lend this money. I will lend this money to some other else. And so I will lend it, for example, to the professor of the other class. When I lend this money to him, this amount is yours, it's mine, or it's for him? Who is the owner of this amount? Huh? Yes, it's mine. I am the borrower of your deposits. But as I lend this money to some other else, I am the owner of the loan, préstamo. I am the owner of the loan, not from the deposit, from the loan. And the professor of the other class is the borrower. For him, it's a liability. For me, this loan is an asset. Okay? I have financed this loan with your deposit. You have given me 100 and I have lent there 100. We will assume that we will have reserve, or in Spanish encaje, because the encaje or reserve will reduce the amount that I can lend to the market. We will see this in more detail after. Then, first thing, I have transformed maturity. What other alternatives have I to transform this deposit? Perhaps you deposit dollars and I lend soles. I have transformed the currency. Okay? Or vice versa. I receive soles and I lend dollars or euros or some other currency. Second transformation, currency. What's more? What other alternative could we have? Interest. You could deposit your your funds at the fixed interest, 5% for all the year without changes. But I can lend this money at a float interest rate, a rate that could change periodically, every day, every week, every month, every year. So I am changing, I am transforming the interest rate. It's the third alternative that I could have for transform. And we can do some other thing. What's more? This is not easy. I can change, I can transform the risk. You will give me some kind of operation for example, in the case of maturity, we will check this in the future with more detail too, but we will use the information that you have right now. For example, in maturity, you lend me this money, you deposit this money for 90 days, short term. The risk is 90 days. And I lent it for 1 year. More term, more risk. I have to transform the risk. Or you deposit it for 90 days and I lend it for only 30 days. Less term, less risk. I have to transform the risk. You will see in the future that I will transform the risk in other ways too. But right now, it's only with this, you could know that these financial institutions are transforming risk in this operation. Do you have questions? So these are things very important that you will see in financial markets. Then, a financial intermediary is typically an institution that facilitates the channeling of funds between lenders and borrowers indirectly. Why indirectly? Because the lender don't lend directly to the borrower. Someone is in the middle, this intermediary. So it's indirectly, and by this he is a financial intermediary. Like retail, like sellers who are intermediaries too. And in this case, we have savers. And savers, I have told you, are at the same time lenders. Because a saver, a depositor, has deposited his funds or her funds in a financial institution. Then, the financial institution is the borrower. But why are we calling by the law, when we deposit our funds in a bank or in other financial institutions, if we deposit our funds there, why the law call us savers and not lenders? Is there a trick? Is there an advantage? Why are we called savers or depositors? Someone knows this?
Perhaps because the person that deposits money does not agree to have his money lent. That's something that the bank does by himself.
Okay, you are in the way. You're in the way. Good. Name? Sergio? Science. I will give you a point. The first point of this cycle of this classroom. Sergio. Okay, Sergio Science. Right now, he is the leader in interventions. So, as he has 1 point, he right now has a 20. And the others have 8 because they don't have intervention. If you have more interventions, qualifications will change. So, if you have questions, please ask your questions. Don't be quiet. Okay, good, Mr. Science. What you have said is in the way. It's not exactly, but it's in the way. I don't want to be a lender. Why? If I am a depositor, I don't want to be a lender. If the bank don't return me my funds, if I am a lender, I can go to the judge, to the court. But if they can't pay me, They can't. They don't go to the jail. Why they can't go to the jail? Because the law in every country, in all civilized countries, said the debtor or the borrower, if he or she can't pay, don't go to the jail. But if you are a depositor, a saver, he is a depositee. Excuse me. Yes, a depositee. Depositario in Spanish. Depositor, depositante. You are depositantes, you are depositors. And the bank is a depositee. Double E at the end. And depositee is only who holds your property. But it's not from him. You have not lent. He has in custody your property. So he has the obligation to return your property when you ask for it. If he don't return your property, he is a thief. And if he is a thief, he will go to the jail. The general manager of the bank could go to the jail if he can't pay your deposit. By this, the law protects you, when they qualificate you as savers or depositors. By this, in all the countries, this is the same. This is the story. That you are called depositors, not lenders. When you deposit in a bank your funds. And at the same time as you have deposited your funds in this intermediary institution, for example, a bank, that institution gives these funds to a borrower. But the borrower is a spender. Another term, spender, borrower, deficit unit. And it's important that you learn all these terms. Why? Because under a financial view, under functional finance, all these terms are the same, have the same meaning. But under the law, they are different. By this, as this is a financial course, you need to identify all these terms as synonymous. And at the same time, you need to know that under a legal point of view, they are not the same. Here we can see one kind of example about what can you do if you are a financial institution with a deposit. For example, you receive a deposit and you can lend it in a commercial loan. What is a commercial loan? First thing, it's a loan that you offer to an entity who has a commercial activity, an industrial activity, a company that is looking for profit. In this case, it's a commercial loan. That a commercial loan is only a short-term loan. And this short-term loan will finance only, for example, a cash deficit, a temporary cash deficit, or they will finance your inventories. You will buy inventories with this loan, or they will finance the credits that you offer to your client. The bank will charge to you 12%, and you will charge to your clients 20%. Then you will gain not only for the margin between your cost and your sell price, you will gain by interest rates too. This is a commercial loan, and this is one alternative that you have for your deposit, to apply the funds that you have obtained as deposit. And on the other hand, deposit could be applied to a mortgage, hypotheca. And in the case of mortgages, we could have two kinds of mortgages. The first one, a familiar mortgage, a home mortgage. In this case, we are speaking about a home that we are financing. People who want a home to live in it. This is the most popular, the most common mortgage. In our country, nearly the 96-97% of our mortgages are home mortgage. But you have, on the other side, some other kinds of mortgages. Entities who wants to buy land, who wants to buy buildings or homes to have an office which they could operate. Then mortgages could be commercial operations too. These commercial operations are more riskier than home mortgages. Why? Because if you buy a home in order to live you in it with your family, you will do all what you can to conserve the house. Because if you can't do it, you will be on the street, you and your family. So by this reason, people try to pay their mortgage. But in other cases, if you are buying a second mortgage, a field mortgage, a beach mortgage, if you are in an office mortgage, then these operations are riskier because the owners of this fixed asset, they don't have many risks if they don't pay. They can reduce their operations. They don't have the fortune to have the beach or the field, but they have their own house. So they won't fight hard to retain this house. Alternatively, surplus agents may let the money direct lie via the financial markets, and we call this financial disintermediation. Now we will see this other kind of operation. In this other kind of operation, the superprivate unit will finance direct line deficit unit. You don't have an intermediator there. And we have, and now again, maximum. This maximum is similar than the first that we have checked. It is efficient when the deficit unit receives resources from surplus units at the lowest possible cost and inconvenience. It means if I could channelize funds to this deficit unit without incurring in bank cost or financial intermediators cost, and this reduced the cost of my operations a lot, and then it is more convenient to do this operation, I prefer to let the money direct out. I don't need to invest with the participation of a financial institution. And if I do this with low inconvenience or without inconvenience, then it's better. In which cases we have intermediators and in which cases we have not. In the most part of the cases, the explanation is in amount. If we have big amounts, then I can absorb the cost. I can have my own analyst. I can have my own lawyer, and both are specialists in credits. Then it is interesting to channelize direct line because I only pay a salary, and this salary will compensate me. For example, if you are a depositor, you will deposit your funds in a bank, and you will receive 2%, 3%, for example. No, it could be higher or lower, depending on the term, depending on the bank, depending on many other things. You can receive 2 or 3%. And the bank will lend your money at 20%. You are losing 80. It's too much. But if I lend direct line to the deficit unit, I will lend this money at 12, and the other will pay 12. I have gained 9 more points, percentage points, and the other has saved 8 points. If we are speaking about big amounts, this intermediation is normally more interesting than intermediation. And